Hey everyone, welcome to the Digital Marketer Podcast. Today I have a very special guest. We have Lauren Petrullo, one of our newest faculty
Mhm.
members for Digital Marketer Academy. We actually just got out of shooting the e-commerce certification update, and she's probably tired at this point. How are you, Lauren?
I'm doing great, thank you, Mark. Not too tired.
Not
You
too
you
tired.
provided me with an ample number of
Snacks. It was Scotch Mallows.
Scotch mallows.
Scotch Mallows, your new favorite chocolate.
Absolutely.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
If you do need a boost during a 8 hour or 10 hour video shoot, we're going to recommend Scotch Mallows from now on. We'll get
100%.
C's sponsorship. That'd be
Absolutely.
awesome. So you covered a ton of topics during the shoot.
Mm.
Specifically, if nobody knows where e-commerce certification is, basically we go through everything you need to know for launch your e-commerce store using a lot of the strategies that we have developed at Digital Marketer over 12 years of working with 100,000 plus businesses.
Mm.
So this latest update actually includes a huge new component, which is social selling,
Yeah,
which you specialize in.
I do. Yes.
So let's talk a little bit about that. What is social selling using, whatever platforms you recommend?
Sure. So the idea of selling on social and using social commerce, the intersection of social media and commerce, allows the end user who's active on social media platforms like Facebook and Instagram to buy in app and never have to venture off of the platform to someone else's website that may or may not be optimized for their purchase.
Yeah, that makes sense. And it's less steps, right?
Oh, a lot
More
less steps,
clicks.
more conversational
Mhm.
selling. It's a chance for you to connect with other users that like those products, see user generated content in a more native friendly way. It's the word of mouth way of selling in a digital landscape.
Makes sense. For me, I did have a website development firm, so I was always
Mm,
using Shopify, WooCommerce,
mm,
and I'd always tell people when they asked about social selling, like, should I have an Instagram store or a Facebook store? I'd be like, no. Why would you give them more money when you get the data, you get
yeah.
more money because you're not paying them for the sale, and have control over the content. That was always my argument. But I'll be the devil's advocate here. Why should people have a social store versus or in addition to
Yeah.
a website?
I would definitely say it's in addition to, because you need your website to be your source of catalog and your source of truth, because all of the transactions take place on the website, gated through the social media
Mm,
platform where your shop exists. But the reason why you want to expand your e-commerce site off of the .com and into the Instagram shop, the Facebook shop, or whatever avenue that it's located is because you're meeting the consumer where they're shopping.
mm.
When they're on Instagram and they're scrolling through their feeds, looking at Coachella photos, they're admiring all these amazing conference costumes, and they're like, "Oh, I'm ready to get that for next year." And so they're in this inspirational,
Mm.
aspirational feed scrolling and have the chance to just do one click and buy, like they do on Amazon. But on Amazon, you have to know what you're looking for and you search, whereas on Instagram, you're constantly browsing and consuming content that you like.
Yeah, that makes sense. Now, is it a ton more work? Because that was always my hesitation, even when I was running social media for
Sure.
people, where it was like, ugh, I got to do another store, manage another catalog, and so on and so forth.
The amount of work you can put in varies from 5 minutes to
Mm.
a full time job. It's all dependent on how much resources and time you want to commit to it. We have a great resource sheet in the e-commerce cert that will really help you identify if it makes sense for you to invest 5 minutes or 5 hours or a 5 figure a year salary for someone who's looking to expand their shops. But at minimum, the 5 minutes of making sure that your catalog feed is set up for your shop and doing the set it and forget it method still yields dividends in the additional organic exposure you get, like having some of your products recommended on your friends' birthdays,
Mm.
having products accessible for new users, even non-followers, to add to their wish list or potentially buy. Now, I would recommend going closer to that 5 hour range, because we have seen time and time again with our clients where we invest less than 4 hours that have maximum impact, including some of our clients making over $50,000 a year in new sales from their Instagram shops.
That's awesome. Now, how does Instagram or Facebook or any of the other kind of social platforms compare to, say, Amazon? Because that's always the debate where you have Amazon versus having a website
Yeah.
or both or.
Yeah, well, Amazon is an environment that's continuously evolving in a way that's not as beneficial for the shop owner. Fees keep increasing. When you're on Amazon, you're paying for ads, you're paying on storage of your products, you're paying for fulfillment, you're paying for everything in between, and your margins are often much smaller on your Amazon space. You talked about fees earlier. Yeah, for Meta shops, Facebook and Instagram, there is a 5% fee that they get, which is waived till the end of the year for US shops. But in its place, what you do get is data that is visible. On Amazon, you
Mm.
don't know who your customers are unless you have a product insert or some sort of marketing strategy that gets them to connect with your brand directly. You get that with Meta shops because they're purchasing using your website. So you have that purchaser's data. Maybe they're subscribed, maybe not. It depends on how they've set up their checkout process. But you also get to see first party data that belongs to Meta that you can optimize in your ads moving forward. Yes, you can use Amazon data to optimize your ads for the purchase, but you don't have as much pre purchase data
Mm.
that you can use or opportunities to cross sell and upsell. It's just a much more mature social media commerce experience. While right now, Amazon specifically is dominating in the number of transactions and conversion value in the West. But if you compare how much time people are spending on social media and staying in platform, it dwarfs in comparison to Amazon. So it's more of a holistic, cohesive, let me see what I'm looking to buy
Mm.
versus I'm going to go in, go out. It's like going to the store, like, your wife, if she loves Target, you're like, all right, I'm staying in the car. I'm not turning the car off. You must go in and out of Target because Target's a dangerous place to shop
Hmm.
for a lot of moms. Instagram is a dangerous place to browse.
Yeah, that makes total sense because I think that now I get ads on Instagram and TikTok and a few other platforms where I'm
Mm.
like, I don't know how you know I want this or that I bought it before,
Yeah.
but this is great. And I'm not even because that, so many people get offended by the ads. Like, how dare you pitch me on this thing that I might want? And you're like, well, but I've opted into everything because I'm a marketer.
Yeah. Fair. It's like that 5% of people in the post iOS apocalypse world
Yeah.
that did opt in were all marketers trying to advocate, please
You're
opt
like,
in, please
yeah.
opt in.
But I mean, it's interesting because you're right. Where it's like, yeah, when I want something to buy, like I'm like, oh, I need some new T-shirts. Like, yeah, I'll go to Amazon and get the cheapest black shirts I can because that's what I wear.
Mm.
And I wouldn't do that necessarily if I'm just browsing on social media and be like, I need black T-shirts right now. But if I saw the ads, which somehow target me all the time, then I will instantly go into the
Yeah.
shop.
Well, it's a difference of interruptive versus inbound marketing.
Hmm.
When you're going to Amazon, you're inbounding directly to what you want to buy and you're interrupting your experience and being inspired on social media.
Mm.
And, it's not even just direct user behavior. When someone's like, how did you know I wanted to buy this plant? Maybe you've liked 4 or 5 of your friends on Instagram photos that feature a plant very similar to the one that you're getting in ad. So it's not the obvious stuff. There's data that's being collected in so many more ways than most people think. And so when they're like, is my phone listening to me? It's like, no, all the actions you're doing on your phone are sending triggers
Yeah,
to the various
to
algorithms.
everything.
Everything.
Yeah. Well, so I think, the social stores, though,
Mm,
specifically for a lot of vendors, because old vendors who may have been doing e-commerce for the last 10 years are still super hesitant about getting on the social because I think it's a management thing. So,
sure.
what would you recommend to these businesses where you say, like, hey, it's worth the investment because of X, Y, and Z?
Sure. Well, I mean, we have case studies for brands that were doing less than $10,000 a month in sales on their Shopify store. They already had the set it and forget it connection. They never optimized the shop,
Hmm.
but we spent, a couple of hours optimizing the shop, and we saw more traffic over the weekend from launching the optimized shop from like on their website than they had seen in the previous 30 days combined. For another brand, they have, 30,000 followers. They were a brand that got $1,300 in sales within 3 weeks of launching it. Another client of ours, they were doing, like $1,500 a month on their Shopify store. We had a $150 sale within 24 hours of launching their shop.
It's amazing.
So,
Well, and I like the
mm,
intersection because everybody knows they need to do social media marketing, but it's
mm,
like for some reason, like that step of buying on the social media platform is still kind of lost.
It's not super popularized in the West. If you look in other marketplaces, buying on social media is second nature. And we can see that Meta is incentivizing store owners and creating these Meta shops. I'm seeing $1,000 to $3,000 credits being set up for ads so that you can drive attention to your shops.
Mhm.
So while that consumer and user behavior in the West and in the United States isn't well adopted yet, it's so obviously coming and predictable because it's happening in so many other marketplaces around the world.
That's amazing. Now, one of the things we did talk about that was actually the most interesting to me was kind of the future of
Oh,
e-commerce
yeah.
and the future of the platforms, because a lot
Yeah.
of people think, like, actually most people don't think about what's going to happen in 5 years, but we do because we're going to be around. Uh, but where do you think it's going? Like, if you say, like, okay, social stores are a thing, like
Yeah.
people use them, people buy through them, and now you have Meta developing some interesting things. Like, where do you see the future of e-commerce?
Well, I like looking at the future of e-commerce in two ways. Following the money of these big tech brands, where are they investing? Because wherever they're investing is going to shape how we interact and engage with our various phones and devices. And then two, looking back at e-commerce forward regions. So if you look at how China and Japan and even Korea have been engaging with e-commerce for years, in the US, we are massively behind. So with the advancement of TikTok, TikTok is just a recreated app that has been successful for years in China. And as I understand, everything that has been trending is following the same cycle of what was trending years ago in China. So in order to look future for 5 years from now,
Mhm.
I look at where are people investing in their money today, like Zuckerberg's company having over 10,000 full-time dedicated employees to Oculus. That's a significant investment. So of course, at our team, we have someone who's 25% of their job is invested in exploring opportunities within metaverse for our brands. But then also looking back at what were China and other e-commerce brands in Asia doing 5 years ago that are now being prevalent so that we can anticipate moving forward.
That's amazing. Now, why do you think we're so behind? Like, everybody likes to think like, oh, we're so advanced, but like if you
Yeah.
even like 5G, adoption
Mm.
and other tech adoption, like we're actually not.
Oh, that's a loaded question. Why are we so far behind? I mean, I think there's just more pressing issues,
Mhm.
and like our socialization hasn't forced us to be more global. I think how economies in the East have just massively grown. In the United States, we've kind of rested on our
Mhm.
laurels. And when there's forced innovation, there's faster adoption. I mean, if you just look at even just internet adoption in Africa, and there's different places, Africa's a massive continent, but there are many areas in Africa that just skipped the dial up phase. They went straight to fiber optic internet. So they didn't have to go through the steps
Uh,
that we went through. And so I think seeing what these other locations in these other regions have been doing, we'll be able to make a few jumps now that they had suffered through.
mhm.
But I think a lot of it is just as a country, we have been comfortable.
Mm. No, I think that's a good way to put it. I mean, everything has been nice. So
Yeah.
it's like, why would I change anything? And I think that's a big hesitation or fear, even with digital marketing. Like, I think I wrote a whole article about, like, here's the one reason why you haven't done digital marketing yet. And
Mm.
it is you're scared. It's
Yeah.
new. New is different and
Yeah.
difficult, and you're not going to be comfortable, and you might suck at it for a while, but you have to do it. Otherwise, you're going to be
Yeah.
stuck in this hole of,
Or you were shut down during the pandemic.
oh, yeah, that
There
was.
were hundreds of thousands of stores that had to get online or they would not have made it through. And so there was a quick jump and leap into that type of adoption. And I think we've now stretched that comfort level where we'll start to see a mitigation of our difference of technology advancement, especially in the e commerce space, compared to other countries abroad.
That's super interesting. Well, I think you added just a huge component to the certification. I think, and it wasn't. What's funny is about this cert is we're always trying to update. This is our latest update, but we want to bring in the most current things. And it's
Mm,
like I didn't even like, even though I've done this for years, like that wasn't even a consideration until it was like I talked to you. I think on the last podcast,
mm,
I'm like, yeah, social stores. What's
yeah.
that about? So when did you start just personally, the development of these
Yeah.
systems and using them for
It was
clients?
it was actually right before traffic and conversions last year.
Huh.
So right around that time, we had clients that were looking to expand different opportunities. Oh, we want to do Walmart, or we want to do expand more into Amazon, or we want to do Pinterest marketing, or whatever shiny object syndrome was on their way. And so while we may not have had the team members that were trained on advertising in those channels, the organic research was there where it was minimal financial investment on their side versus, oh yeah, let's try this new advertising channel. So we took it upon ourselves and just hit successful case study after successful case study after successful case study, and then found ourselves in a party of one talking about the impact of optimizing your social shops.
Well, good job.
Thank you.
And if anybody wants to hear all this, the e-commerce cert, we're actually coming out with it late May, early June. So by the time this is coming out, it might be out. And your content's definitely going to be out because we spent 10 hours a day shooting stuff. And
Yeah.
so thank you so much for coming on. I think, your methodologies and just your vision for the future of e-commerce is huge. So thank you for that. And thank you for being a faculty member.
Oh, absolutely. I had a blast, and I'm really excited for when we get to update this content more and then talk about storefronts and metaverse. And oh man, this is an ever evolving area. And even like I said, just last week, the adoption of user generated content as accessible product images and videos for your social shop. That's brand new. So, this is going to forever continue to evolve because Meta can see the opportunity, and that's what I'm chasing.
That's all. Well, yeah, you're chasing the $1 trillion company that's
Yeah.
pushing everything forward. It's like, oh, that's a safe bet. Where can people learn more about you and what you do?
Sure. So my company is mongoosemedia.us, and I'm happy to connect with anyone on LinkedIn. That's Lauren E. Petrullo, as in Elizabeth, or of course using that same Lauren E. Petrullo on any socials that you have shops on.
Are you competing with another Lauren Petrullo?
Oh my gosh, yes.
I was gonna say, like, that E is, you emphasize that.
Petrullo is my husband's name. And so when we got married and I was seeking out the domain, there is a medical doctor for monkeys in the United States
It's well
that
published.
has Lauren Petrullo on all of her social channels. So if you're listening to this, you beat me.
You beat the marketer that's advancing e-commerce for everyone.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much again for coming on. Everyone, check out digitalmarketer.com for cert info, and we'll be doing a promo in June. So stay tuned for that.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.